Welcome to Married to Movies. Industry insiders John Russell and Tracy Kring live and work happily in cinematrimony. They're sharing behind-the-scenes adventures of writing, producing, and appreciating films.
Morning, babe.
Good morning, babe. How you doing?
Pretty good.
Awesome. You just got your hair cut.
I didn't get it cut. I shaved it.
I know. Well, that's the way
It's a very relaxing.
That's the way you cut your hair.
Cathartic process.
It is. So we had a little bit of drama. We were trying to get new business cards.
Oh, was it drama?
Well, it was a little bit of drama because they couldn't figure out how to cut the cards.
Because, of course, I'm making up my own thing.
Making up your own thing. These are the cards. Are they?
That's the camera right there.
Okay, there's the camera. Okay, so there's Tracy and there's me.
Yeah.
So they double for both of us.
Yeah. I rarely hand them out, but you know.
Right.
Okay, thank you. We get it.
And
they just cut off a tiny bit too close to the top of your
yeah,
icons,
but they were having issues
cutting them.
Yeah, and we were supposed to get them the next day, and we got them a week and a half later. Isn't that a thing where usually if
I know where you're going
like
with
that,
this. I know where you're going.
Why did we not get them free?
No, companies don't do that anymore.
Should we have asked for them for free?
Companies don't give a fuck about giving you customer satisfaction anymore.
Right.
Did you ask them for a discount?
No, I did not. Should I have done that?
Yeah, they're not going to offer it. Like, oh, we're going to fall on our sword for you.
For a week and a half. For a week and a half. It took them to get these
You have
cards
to make the request. And then they're put in a position to say, and usually they'll say something like, oh, 10%.
You ever see those
1930s
1930s gas stations where like 15 guys swarm your car and they're like, Simonizing your tires? And I don't even know if that's a thing or not. But I mean, it's like...
Was it ever a thing?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Simonizing was a thing.
What the hell? I've never heard of this. What the hell are you talking about?
Maybe you didn't Simonize tires. You Simonized something.
What?
Something was Simonized.
I've never heard of this.
You never heard of the term Simonizing something?
It sounds like a way to make up something you're going to do.
Oh, maybe. But like they would like change your oil and, do your windshield.
Right there
and
at the pump.
Yeah, exactly. And they would just swarm you. That's actually one of the reasons I like getting my gas in New Jersey, because for some reason you cannot pump your own gas in New Jersey. So they have to pump it for you.
They made it a law.
They did. And I don't know why.
I appreciate it because it is jobs. It's local jobs.
Yeah, but would that person have been working there
anyway?
Have
I ever told the story about trying to get my air in my tires? And like my hands are really fucked up. I can't handle things like those little things you got to take off the tire, the gauge, and the
whatever those are called.
Caps.
Yeah. Well, I think they're called caps. Yeah,
I can't get those off.
Yeah,
like come on.
Yeah,
I can't even get my hands to bend right to do that.
They have to be Simonized.
Yes. So I pulled up. You were actually in the hospital because of your appendicitis.
Oh.
And I pulled up. It was like 1 a.m. when I left you in the hallway at the hospital, and I was like, the guy came out. I was in New Jersey. The guy came out and I was like, I don't need gas, but I really need air in my tires. Can you help me with it? And he goes, oh, ma'am, no. No, ma'am. I'm the only one here pumping gas. No, I can't. No, ma'am.
Oh, you just ruined that guy's day.
I was like, Jesus Christ. Okay. I get it.
You had to get down there, use your teeth to open it up.
I was just being very paranoid because I wanted to be able to get to you at the hospital.
Well, I appreciate that.
And I just went to the 7-Eleven and paid $500 for a tire, fix a flat.
Oh, jeez.
Everything at 7-Eleven is like,
yes,
if you're not getting a slushie at 7-Eleven, you're fucked.
Forget about it. You
can't afford going there.
You are paying tariff prices all the
time.
Already at 7-Eleven.
I can't imagine what it's going to be like. I saw a lady on TikTok and she sells like a little healthcare product. The company that she hired in Kentucky said they would make in America the tubes for her product. And then 3 months later, they're like launching this product and they still don't have it. And they're like, just tell us what's going on. And then they track one of the people who work at this company down through LinkedIn, made them tell them where the factory was. Right. And then she called and was like threatening, I'm going to come to the factory for my answer. Tell me now why.
Wow, okay.
Why will we not get our tubes? And the guy admitted, well, we don't actually make the aluminum tubes
don't
here.
Make them here.
They come from China.
They come from China. That's right.
And we're going to have to pay more for those. So we don't have, to stay to your quote that we've given you, we can't hire anyone to work the line to actually do the printing on the tubes.
Right.
And no one will work because they're going to pay them much lower rates.
People are used to paying certain prices for things. That's why they bitch about the fact that eggs cost so much. Okay?
Yeah.
You get used to
You're
paying
gonna be
a certain
bitching about
amount.
Everything.
Everything.
Not just eggs.
Everything.
Eggs are going to be a normal price now.
The dollar store went to $1.25. What's it going to be now? $2.25?
Well, I was researching for a script I'm writing set in the Revolutionary War about my great-grandmother, who was a female Paul Revere, one of, I think, 12 or 13.
Right.
I just wanted to know which great-grandmother was she, right?
Okay.
So I have the list of like my dad's mom, her father, his father, his father, his father.
Right, the information.
The begats.
Right.
I plug it into ChatGPT to check my work. And I'm like, tell me which great-grandmother is LaDocia Dicey Langston Springfield.
Okay.
And
great name.
I know, right? LaDocia? Like
weird.
Well,
I like Dicey. Dicey is a great name, yeah.
It sounds like a grandma, like a great-grandma, great-grandma
Sounds
Dicey.
like a cool grandma, though. Man, she's dicey.
Yeah. Slice and dicey. So ChatGPT says it's your 6th great-grandmother. And I'm like, are you sure about that? And I literally, I talked to it like a person.
Okay, here's the thing. Why are you asking ChatGPT a question that you can figure out the answer to, and then they give you the answer, and you figure out immediately their answer is wrong because you had to figure it out anyway?
Well, like I said, I wanted it to check my work. And I said, are you sure about that?
Yourself. Don't doubt yourself.
Sure. But it's nice to have confirmation. Are you sure about that, ChatGPT?
Right.
And it said, oh, oops, you're right. I was counting you as a first generation. So when I make that adjustment, she's your 5th great-grandmother.
Fifth generation.
And I'm like, yeah, exactly.
You had talked about the experience of dropping me off at the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when I got my appendix out, I waited in a hallway for, I believe it was 10 hours.
I think you were there the whole night.
Yeah.
Until you were taken in for surgery.
Yeah, until I was taken in for surgery. And I was just like in a hallway.
Yeah.
And we discovered this show. Well, I mean, we heard about this show, The Pitt. A lot of people have been talking about it.
Yeah.
It's Noah Wiley.
And he's like
ER.
So much older than you remember him. Like from ER to now.
I remember Noah Wiley really looking like the kid on that show.
Yeah, but
yeah.
What could you say Noah Wiley did between the 15th season of ER, if he was still on it, now?
He was on some show called The Librarians.
Nope.
It was like an adventure show.
I love lamping now?
No, it was called The Librarians. I am familiar with this show. Yes, it was a real show.
Librarians aren't interesting. Oh, God. Well, he disappeared for me, and now he's back.
And this show is amazing. I remember when we were in Las Vegas.
Yeah, my little CRTD was making an alarm sound.
It was making an alarm sound.
And I had COVID.
Yeah, and you had COVID, and we were freaked out because we looked up and said, if that thing makes an alarm sound,
go to the ER.
Go to the ER because that thing's about to die on you. It was full. It was 100% full. There were probably 30 people. In the waiting room. It was a big one. That is part of what these hospitals have to do is like, how do people feel about how they were treated when they were there.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're having to wait 4, 5, 6, 7 hours.
Some of these people are experiencing PTSD from COVID.
Right. From the experience
and
of
I
what it was
appreciate
like.
that
Yeah.
about this show.
I remember we were involved in a pilot, and it was called Death's Door, and I was a co-director on it, and you shot it.
Well, I was a co-cinematographer.
Yeah,
too,
co-cinematographer. Yeah, okay.
Camera
Co-cinematographer.
operator
You're right, exactly. And one of the things in that show is that we wanted to be incredibly accurate to the experience. You know, Jack Schuyler wrote it. The concept was it was about basically
end of care,
end of life care.
End of life care.
Yeah. Okay. And this kind of felt a lot like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we really got into House because when I was asking Jack for like his visual references, he said House and ER and stuff like that. So we actually really got into House and watched all of it.
But I think this kind of is a deeper level than, I mean, definitely a deeper level than like an ER or a St. Elsewhere or any of those other medical shows. Because those shows are they're a little soapy. You know, there's
a lot about
always,
relationships.
Yeah, about the relationships and
but
who's going to walk into whose shower, you know. I think the Pitt is fantastic. It's like these little, every single person who comes in has a little story, you know, and they have and they're covering that little story, you know, over the course of the idea that it's just one day, I think is amazing.
That's the part that, I mean, I like that construct. I think it's a good idea.
Right.
But that's what makes it feel not realistic.
Right.
Because, I mean, we've been in ERs.
It's like that Kiefer Sutherland show, 24.
Yeah. Like, yeah, life is much more boring.
Yeah, things stretch out a little bit longer than that.
Yeah, if you took like a week and squished it into 24 hours, maybe.
The Pitt's great. We were watching Stephen Colbert, and he had a couple of people from the show. Michelle Williams and Jenny Slate.
Jenny Slate were
both on the show. And it kind of convinced us to watch it by seeing like little clips called Dying for Sex.
Yeah.
And it was based on a true story, a podcast of a woman who was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer.
Breast cancer.
And she's going to die. Okay. There ain't no getting around it. But she also had kind of this like really fucked up sex life her entire life.
Well, no, it wasn't fucked up. It was just really boring.
Well, yeah. Well, that's
uncomfortable.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And she had been abused as a child.
Right. Which had really affected. And basically the show is about her kind of journey, her like odyssey, if you will, through the ocean of sex to find out what she likes and what makes her happy.
Well, yeah, because, you know, you might be able to heal in certain ways from abuse like that. But the body healing from it is a lot harder, you know, and focus does have to be put on that.
You could not stop crying.
I mean, the last, I don't know.
You just lost your shit.
The last 3 episodes, I think I cried really bad the whole time.
And
to the point where I was like really afraid I was going to make myself sick.
You were going to make yourself sick. And what was I telling you? I was like, Tracy, these are actors and they're going to finish this scene.
And we'd be like, cut. Okay.
Okay.
Got a 5-minute break while we reset.
Let's go to craft services.
All right.
Let's go get a Clark
Make sure
bar.
You're hydrating.
Okay. Exactly.
Reset.
You have to remember these are not real people.
I know. The last few episodes when she's actively dying, when they do the spinal tap and they find out, okay, now is the time where you're going to hospice.
Right. And she finally had her orgasm.
She had her orgasm
with somebody else.
She went to with another person.
Right.
She goes to hospice, and from that point on, I mean, this was probably the most accurate portrayal of that process ever.
Yes.
And it was beautiful.
That one actress, she's always funny. And she's like, she was the hospice nurse.
Yeah.
And she came in
Amy.
And she was so funny and so sweet because she was like, okay, so you're going to be dying And this is what's going to be happening.
Right. And she's like, I almost forgot my favorite part.
The rally.
The rally.
And this is a real thing, folks.
It is.
The rally is a real thing.
It is. It is.
It's crazy.
I've seen the rally many times.
Over and over again.
I had, I don't know if you
What
want
a nice thing for our body to do. To give us like one big burst of energy.
Well, people may not know, I used to be in in-home health.
Mm-hmm.
And I was working with a lady for over a year probably. And she was in the, she was dying. On her birthday, I mean, she hadn't moved her eyes and looked at me.
Right.
She had not spoken. She had not moved. She had not done anything but like ball up. And
well, I remember you had been telling her your birthday's coming. Your birthday's coming.
And it was like a countdown.
And like everybody was going to
coming. Yeah, I would tell
her
her everybody who's coming.
Because everybody knew this was going to be her last birthday.
Well, this would be the last time they saw her. Yeah. Right. 5 days, 2 days, 3 days. It's tomorrow.
Right.
And I wake up and like I was in the twin bed right across from her. I wake up and she's actually turned and looking at me. And she's like, hello. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Right. She'd basically been catatonic up to this point.
This was the rally.
The rally.
She was perfectly normal. She sat up at the table.
Right.
And ate her birthday cake. Blew out candles and enjoyed her family. And she started to get a little tired. And I was like, I think it's time for her to go and rest.
Right.
I put her back in bed. Her son came in who lived in town. And she said, Bobby, you left your headlights on. And now we're in a penthouse apartment, like way up. She doesn't even know what kind of car he drives at this point.
Really? I didn't know this.
No, she has no idea.
So is this like an out-of-body experience you think she had?
Absolutely. And I've seen that too. And he goes, Mother, like, no, I didn't, Mom. Don't worry about it. And she's like, Bobby, you left your lights on. You need to go check it right now. You're not going to be able to start your car. I was like, just indulge her. When he came back, she was asleep. And he said they were on.
Wow.
And the next morning, she was in a very active process of dying. And I was there holding her hand when she passed.
We also tried this show called The Bondsman. And it starred...
Oh, God, is that one with Kevin
Bacon? Oh, man. We were just watching it and our mouths were agape because this is like, okay, and what if there was a bail bondsman and he died and he went to hell and then they brought him back and then he gets demons and
trying to be
Southern,
low country,
trying to be Appalachia,
trying to be,
which you hate too.
I really hate it
when they just don't get it right. They don't get the South right.
Go there. Like, why don't you fucking go there? The way Southern people are portrayed is really dumb and basic. Yeah. Boiled down to what we're known for as our not so great attributes. But their dialogue is so silly because it's all like trying to get to the next thing. They're not actually having a conversation.
Right.
They're having a directive.
Right. We have to get to this point, so we're going to bring up this point. We have to let
everybody know this, and then we're going to get to this
and
that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so annoying.
Yeah, it's
not building character.
It's not freeform.
No.
It's not freeform, which is the way conversations work.
About that all the time. I'm like, why do they have to say that? Obviously, I can tell it's to get to the next line. Mm-hmm. So what can they say to get to the next line that's not the tee up?
Well, when we started this podcast, we put a lot of effort into it. We put a lot of, okay, this is what we're going to say. And, this is the plan. And, and you told me you don't want to put effort into the podcast.
No.
And I think it's better because of it.
You can use the task manager and you can just throw things in there and then check them off when you're done. And if we're just sitting around doing our thing and it's like, oh, that would be good topic to bring up on the podcast. All the things we've talked about today have been on the task list.
Right.
And just being mindful of what we wanted, what we thought was interesting.
Well, yeah, the stuff that we watched.
I'm not writing anything for this.
No, absolutely
I'm not going to. And I'm not going to like make some ridiculous set. I'm not going to this is my this is my dining room table. This is where we eat every single meal.
I mean,
I'm not going to turn this into a studio.
We've considered going to a studio.
Yeah, but then
to do the
I
podcast. But then what would be the point of that?
I'm getting up on my Sunday. I'm getting up on my Sunday. I'm having to get dressed and cleaned up and get in my car and drive to God only knows where to do it in a studio. Why?
I don't see the point.
I want to have my breakfast. We stopped eating on the podcast because
which I don't know why.
Well, I have gotten a couple of comments like, this is really gross that you're eating.
It's good in a movie. Eating and talking but they is don't great eat, in a movie.
But they never eat. And like on The Bachelor or Bachelorette, they always like have food there, but they never eat it. And it's really gross. It was in Hobo Jesus, Theodore Bulikos. He had to sit there. It was a very beautiful shot that Nathaniel had set up. And he had to sit there and have like his coffee and like those chocolate covered donuts.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
And he was like, I'm gonna puke.
Yeah, he was pounding those donuts. Gonna puke. He was pounding those things.
And I was like, well, let's just nibble it instead of trying to eat the whole damn thing. Let's just nibble it.
But then
because we're also running out of donuts.
Right, but he also felt like that affected the performance with him not eating the donuts.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, dude. But he did get a tummy ache, I think. So it is hard to deal with food. I do ask, though, whenever I have food in a scene, I'll ask the actor, like, hey, what could you eat a lot of if you had to eat a lot of it? How can we deal with
this? Yeah. If you have a scene and somebody comes like into a restaurant, into a diner, there are all of these things that happen that are important that if they don't happen, then it doesn't feel like a realistic scene.
Interruptions.
Right. But there's like, okay, there's the greeting. Then there's the coming.
Hey, do you want something to drink? Then there's Here's your menus.
And then there's bringing the drink. Then there's the menus.
Taking the order.
Then there's the taking.
Bringing the food.
I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. And you have to have so much sort of space in between those things.
Yeah.
That it doesn't make any sense if you don't.
No, you have to. I think a diner scene or something like that, it's very important to consider, is this conversation good for this setting?
But, we write diner scenes because diners are
it looks great.
Fantastic.
You want to be there. You want to be there because they look good. Two of the actors that we've worked with,
Monique and
Tara,
love, yes.
They are both doing verticals, and
it was weird. This week was kind of the week that it just kind of showed up on the radar.
Well, and
I'd heard about it, but all of a sudden, actors that we know are doing verticals.
Well, probably 3 to 4 weeks ago, on my TikTok, the algo started spitting out a bunch of vertical dramas. This guy's a werewolf.
The werewolf one.
But I saw that guy in one of those like things, those pills you take so that you don't get HIV. What's it called?
Okay.
I saw that because I was
so it was like a pharmaceutical commercial.
Yeah, I was like, hold on. I've seen that guy before. What's he been in? And I was like, he's the alpha from that werewolf.
He's the werewolf.
Pharmaceuticals own all streaming commercials, basically.
Right. I looked up verticals and they said that the people that watch verticals are women
in the Midwest.
Between 40 and 65.
That's their market.
They remind me of what Zalman King was doing.
Yeah, like Red Shoe Diaries or I think they want to be able to go and sing in the choir on Sunday and not feel bad about watching and paying to watch a man be a werewolf and lick this woman's face.
But when it actually gets down to the down and dirty of it,
they never show that.
No, they don't show that.
No. They like the tension and the build-up, and they're not so interested in the deed.
Well, I mean,
they just want the romance?
I mean, that's kind of what like White Lotus is. I mean, tonight there's the season finale of White Lotus.
You made an amazing point, which is White Lotus is just that season of Dallas that ends on Who Shot JR.
Yeah. Yeah, every season it's Who Shot JR.
That's so brilliant because you're so right.
No, and it's
you're so right.
Mike White realized that he could build this whole thing up and it always starts the same. Oh, this season of White Lotus isn't as good. oh, this isn't as good. And then by the end, everybody's like, oh my God,
Who's
this could
gonna
happen. Who's
die?
going to die? Whoa, you know?
Yeah.
And because it just works. Because these people are rich and awful.
Well,
And we're
you
incredibly
hate 'em.
interested. And verticals are the same way. Everybody's rich.
Oh, everybody's rich.
Everybody's rich. You know, that's the thing about poor people. They love to look at rich people.
Well,
You
poor
know.
giving.
That's like from Camelot. I wonder what the king is doing tonight. But, you know, there were tens of millions of people in the streets yesterday.
On April 5th, when everybody took to the streets. Like, I think that's great, but like, how can you do that every day in your life?
That's the thing. How are you
And like,
able...
how are you resisting? How are you fighting? How are you challenging? You know, and really think about that in your everyday life.
Do you believe that entertainment is a distraction, or do you think that we really need entertainment to, you know, give us some place to escape to, or is escape the problem?
I feel like you have to be careful of consumerism, and that may lead to escapism. But when instead of doing a thing, you're consuming instead of creating,
Mm-hmm.
there is a balance, I think, that you have to maintain. And you become too much a consumer and too little a creator, and all the things you're consuming are turning into nothing. I really like that series, John Adams, and I find that whole, like, especially right now in our current climate, I find the Declaration of Independence and that whole era really interesting.
Right.
And I was watching that, and like, lines were coming to me,
Right.
you know, for my script.
There
and
you
like,
go.
I was like, pause, and then I was like, typed a scene up,
Right.
you know, and like, I don't know if I would have necessarily had that idea if I hadn't been immersed
Right.
in that era
Right.
during that time.
Mhm.
And I think when you're consuming in order to create, it's great. It's a great process. But when you're just consuming to escape, and that would be with anything, with food or alcohol or drugs or
Right.
whatever it is, in the era of like ChatGPT and all of this, and I feel like the real kind of revolution that is maybe upon us, I don't know, creativity, you know, people really getting creative to
Mhm.
create work and jobs and income for themselves, maybe where we're all heading, because they want to do tariffs so they can bring manufacturing back. But manufacturing's been automated, dumbasses.
Yeah.
Like, very few people are still sewing things.
Right. Right. Exactly. Like the modern factory that is built in this country is not going to have
People don't make sneakers anymore.
125 people
Yeah.
in it anymore.
People aren't sewing
Yeah.
soccer balls anymore, you fucking morons.
Yeah. Hey, look,
It's just fucking brain dead.
if you try to make any of it feel logical or make sense,
No, it doesn't.
It's
It can't.
It's just going to make you crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It's hard not to get romantic about movies. Thanks for listening to Married to Movies. Jon and Tracy will meet you for breakfast tomorrow.